I'm delighted to be joined now by former Waterford hurler and Electric Ireland Fitzgibbon Cup winner with WIT, Kevin Moran, as he looks ahead to the Electric Ireland Fitzgibbon Cup semi-finals and final taking place this week. This year, through its #FirstClass Rivals campaign, Electric Ireland celebrated the unexpected alliances formed between county rivals as they come together in pursuit of some of the most coveted titles across Camogie and GAA. Kevin, what's your memories of playing college hurling?
Yeah, look, I guess my best memory is just, I was training with other lads that you wouldn't be used to, that are from the likes of Kilkenny and Tipperary and Wexford, and just becoming friendly with lads that you're training with, and seeing how good players they are, and it's as a fresher going in there, you were allowed to play Fitzgibbon hurling when you were a fresher. When I was entering into college, and it was just a perfect stepping stone and transition for me to go from the likes of minor to adult hurling, and to eventually bring on to inter-county hurling. But I can't emphasize enough how much I enjoyed it. It was I loved every minute of it. With such everything that you want with college, and playing hurling at such a high level, and such quality matches between particularly 2006 and 2008 when we were lucky enough to win it. But all throughout my 4 years, and the year I played down in UCC as well, it's just a brilliant competition, and I'm delighted to be ambassador for the weekend coming up.
And of the players that you played with, I suppose, that weren't Waterford players, who would you have played with from rival counties that maybe you would have been coming up against them then when you were wearing a Waterford jersey?
Well, I guess TJ Reid is the obvious one. We played with one of Fitzgibbon with TJ in 2008, and he was such a good player, and obviously the where he's gone to since has just been incredible. For me, and for I'm sure a lot of people, one if not the best player that has ever played the game. And the likes of that, and obviously then you're coming up against players of the caliber of the likes of Joe Canning and things like that, and those lads are around the kind of same age as me, so those two in particular really are kind of nice ones to be mentioned. But obviously then obviously we played with lads from Waterford as well, but it was great then to play with the likes of John Dalton and Pat Hartley from Kilkenny, who Pat was an incredible Fitzgibbon hurler, so they were two honourable mentions. But then when I was a fresher and things like that starting off, you would have had the likes of PJ Delaney and I think Rory Jacob, Keith Rossiter, all these guys, that should be, back then you were looking at them, they were established in their respective inter-county setups, and you're training with them on a regular basis. It was brilliant for me back then.
Yeah, funny you mentioned Pat Hartley there. He trained with us a few times. Did you say Hartley or Hartnett? Hartley, didn't you?
Yeah, Hartley, yeah.
Yeah, he trained us a few times in Coola. Had a few good scalping matches with him. He's an ignorant joke on the pitch, and I mean that in a good way.
He's well able to use it, all right.
He certainly is. What are your thoughts on Waterford? Now that you're kind of as a spectator watching in, was there a period where it was like tough for you to go to games because you kind of still felt that sort of fire in your belly in terms of playing, or were you totally okay and divorced from it straight away?
I know, I'll be honest, Shane, I was fine now. I really was. My last year involved, it was I think I knew the writing was on the wall in what was it, 2021. Just looking back on it, it was just an easy year to go back in, because the way it happened with the pandemic, we got to the All-Ireland final and it was in December, and we were back training kind of the month later, so it was fine. But I kind of knew that I was, it was my last kind of year anyway. So it's and the last year then was fine. The team has changed, and got a good old buzz off going seeing the lads and win the league, and unfortunately then it just didn't materialise for them going into the summer months. It was it was disappointing for everybody, but more so than anybody, the management and the players, to go from such highs to such lows. And yeah, look, I'm enjoying. I've went to the first match of the league then under Davy's second regime, so it's there's good excitement. But look, I'm looking at it now from a pure supporter's point of view, and I am enjoying it, yeah.
So you're not that man behind the goals giving instructions to the keeper, are you?
No, I'm not. I know who he is. He's one of Davy's lads, but look, or Christers after being there's some ordeal made about him, in fairness. But look, I think Davy was asked about it after the Laois game and thought he answered it brilliantly. So yeah, look, you need something to talk about, in fairness.
Yeah, and like you were there with Davy before when he was manager of Waterford in his first stint. Were you surprised to see him take over, and have you felt it's been a good appointment?
I wasn't surprised. No, I think it was. In fairness, I think it was a great appointment. You know, Liam and Mikey Bevans did a super job with Waterford, and look, it fell a little bit flat in its face towards the end, which was disappointing. But you know, I think Dave was a perfect fit then to come in and just, you know, re-galvanise, re-energize the lads. You know, there didn't need to be a huge amount of change. I think everyone knows that, and the players had you know, there was no need for a big, you know, a colour or anything like that, and bringing in a whole new load of fresh faces. But I think Davy's done it well. You know, he's a good nucleus of players, and now he is after kind of finding kind of 2 or 3, you know, lads that we thought were good players, you know, under 20 players, and the likes of Padraig Fitzgerald and, you know, Patrick Fitzgerald and even Ruben from our own club. You know, it's great to see them in, and you know, they're well able for it, you know, and they're, you know, you need that mix, and I think he's after assembling a nice little panel there. So yeah, it's all positive looks, but it's early days, Shane. You know, it's bigger and tougher tasks ahead, but yeah, look, hopefully we can hopefully get out of Munster and see what happens from then.
Yeah, like 3 red cards in 2 games is a little odd now. To be fair, like a couple of years ago, I think it was Liam Cahill, when he brought that Waterford team to Thurles, he had a couple of red cards that day as well. So it's not like it's necessarily just a Davy thing, and I'm not suggesting that. But would that concern you at all?
No, I don't think so. Look, I suppose if you get another 2 or 3 over the next couple of games, you know, you need to sit down and think about it. I think for the first one, Jack Fagan, what did he get? Was it a yellow and a black? You're gone for that, is it?
Yeah.
So he was on. Look, I think he tangled with your man's legs as he went in for the goal. So no complaints. And Stevie just pulled back a small bit with the arm, and you know, again, looked harmless enough, but by the letter of the law, he, you know, if the linesman, I think Colin Lyons, was pretty adamant that if he did what he did, and it's a red. And Mikey Kiley's thing then Saturday night, look, it's hard to, you know, you know yourself, an awful lot goes on. You know, he could have been just unlucky, got caught. Maybe I couldn't see it. I saw a video of it. I don't know, was it a little butt of the hurley or whatever? But look, I don't think there's any. You know, they're working hard, and you know, these things are going to happen. But you know, I certainly, Davy, kind of saying, look, that's the end of the silly ones. But look, we got a couple of red cards last year at the wrong times. Really, hopefully, that's 3 now. So hopefully, we'll get them out of the way early in the year. Put it that way.
Yeah, and Watford haven't become a bad team overnight just because, you know, Munster went a little bit south. And I mean, I would have had a thought that game against Limerick, when Everton went into it and Limerick were down a few lads and still didn't get a victory, that would have had a bit of a big impact, a bit of a psychological setback. But like, they haven't become a bad team overnight.
No, yeah. Look, you're right. I suppose that night in Limerick, after Waterford probably they beat Tipperary in the first round of the Munster Championship, and you know, being honest, they didn't play fantastically well, you know. But then, you know, I'd say they were disappointed walking away from the Gaelic grounds that night. I think Limerick got a couple of injuries, were down. They didn't look like they were firing on all cylinders, and Waterford, I think they took the lead with 20 minutes to go, but you know, like it's happened so often with this Limerick team, they just seem to find the ways, don't they? And yeah, and then it was, you know, it actually turned out then that Cork game was a make or break, and just didn't go well for us. And you know, the confidence was gone, and it was very disappointing. And look, the lads, they've had the summer to themselves last year, really, because they were gone so early, and bit of the autumn and winter, and it's great to see them back at it, and you know, parked it, and it was disappointing, but they won a league last year, and as you said yourself, 10 months ago we were talking about them as the only real hope of taking down that Limerick team. So you know, time can change opinions very quickly, and hopefully they can jump back to where they're capable of in the next couple of months.
And do you think Limerick, and look, obviously we've only seen a couple of league games and it's a much changed team, but they still look awesome. Do you think that teams based on last year have made up any ground on them?
not so sure. I'm not so sure, Shane. What do you think?
I don't know. I'm worried, like,
Yeah.
considering how impressive they were the other night against Clare. Now, Clare seemed to implode themselves again, but just the power.
Yeah, look, I'm a little bit of the same opinion as you. I watched them against Cork. I thought they were absolutely brilliant against Cork in the first half, the first league game back. I know. In fairness, look, Cork came back and did it, but you know, Limerick have just been in positions that, you know, if they're in an All-Ireland final with 20 minutes to go, they know what they're doing. Look, as I said, it could go south on them, but I'm not so sure. I think they could be even stronger than last year, Shane. The chasing group, I was only, excuse me, I think there's a lot of change in a lot of the teams around the country, except for Limerick.
Yeah.
You know, like, Tip looked very good now, I must say. Very, very good yesterday. Maybe, you know, they're probably one of the only teams that there's not, you know, there's still, you know, Noel McGrath, Shane McGrath, Bonner Maher, you know, John McGrath, and then, you know, those lads are still performing. And yeah, look, I think Tipperary will, I think they will improve. Look, from a selfish point of view, I hope the Waterford just make that monster, you know, make the top three, and, you know, who knows what can happen from then. But look, being honest, going on last year and what I'm after seeing this year so far, you know, they were out without two or three, you know, the best players in the country as well last year. Like, and you know, it's on them as for everyone else really at the moment. But look, as I said, you don't know what's going to happen over the next few months.
What's it like playing against Limerick on the field? I mean, physically, are you just pushed to a different level than you might be by other teams?
Yeah, look, they're really good in the tackle. Obviously, they're comfortable. I think they're just getting better with it. They're getting more and more comfortable, and they're confident on it. They know it works. They've been in tight situations and found ways out of it. But as a player, what's it like? Yeah, look, it's tricky, you know. It's particularly when you're under pressure. You know, they're finding spaces all over the field. They're clipping the balls into the positions that they know their lads will be there. Their timing is good. They've runners coming off the shoulder, and they're putting on 28, 29, 30 points a game. They're not overly hell-bent on going for the green flag all the time. They're just constantly tipping away, and they're so well coached. But, you know, from a player's point of view, there's no doubt you have to try and, you know, tie down a few of their key players. And, you know, that's the big conundrum, how to do it. Do you follow them out the field? Do you play one-man marker, one staying back? Do you know, go all out attack and just take them on physically and see can you break them down? So hasn't worked for anybody yet. So it's yeah, look, they're still a little bit ahead of the curve, but who's to say what will happen over the next few weeks, but or next few months. But look, you have to kind of admire them. I love watching them, actually, to be honest with you. They're so good to watch.
Yeah, all the best games in the championship last year involved Limerick. I mean, because everyone raises their game for them too, don't they?
Yeah, that's true as well. Yeah. Some of the games last year were brilliant. Like, I know that the Limerick Clare games comes to mind in Thurles, but I just have a sneaky feeling. I'm not so sure. Look, without being harsh on Clare, I just think if that had been a knockout game, I'm not so sure it would have gone to the closeness that it did. But look, as I said to you, Clare, you know, they really pushed themselves, and I think that game took an awful lot out of them last year. You know, they just didn't perform then against Wexford. They got over the line, and Kilkenny they just didn't perform at all. But, you know, Limerick were just getting better and better. You know, it didn't seem to put them out of stride at all. Whereas, you know, which is the worrying thing, you know, with the likes of, well, with Peter Casey, Mike was playing last year.
Yeah, Keane
Lynch, like, you know. So it's yeah, look, there's not too many holes in their armour just yet, but look, every other team, in fairness, is just working hard and trying to put themselves in a position to, you know, maybe take them on down the stretch.
Yeah, they've Cahill O'Neill and Adam English coming as well, looking for spots as well. So it's not looking great for the rest of us. Can I ask you then about, seeing as you've been coached by Liam Cahill and Mikey Bevans, about Tipperary, and like you had very good players, but you just had a bad probably 2 years, but you still had very good players. But what was it that they were able to come in and very quickly kind of grab a hold of what you were doing and, like, I suppose, put their imprint on it very quickly, and all of a sudden you were playing great stuff? That seems to have happened again. But how are they able to do this so quickly?
Yeah, it's a fair point. Yeah, look, as I said to you, I watched them yesterday. I was very, very impressed with them. The way they broke the line. Very, very, very similar to what Waterford, kind of what he brought to Waterford. And look, in fairness to them, you have to take your hats off to them. They're able to imprint what they want on their players. But I'd say Tipperary have worked extremely hard, Shane. I'd say just going back to when I played with Lean for the first year, we trained. I've never trained as hard, and I don't mean we were running hills or anything like that. We just trained hard. It was just every night. An hour and a half, 2 hours on the field, and you're tackling every night, and every single drill that you do. I shouldn't call it a drill because it's not. The days, I suppose, of drill merchants are gone. He expects your touch to be good, and that's a non-negotiable. So you're not really working on those things, but you're
game-based activities, is it?
Is that that's the buzzword at the moment?
That's some of it for sure that I've heard.
Yeah. No, it's just look, they get their players in tip-top condition. They push them hard, and look, tip of super hurlers, we all know that, and even just looking at them yesterday, they look strong and fit. There's a few of them there that just, and they're breaking the lines, are coming off shoulders. I haven't seen that in Tipperary in the last number of years, and look, that's Mikey and Liam, and they're going for green flags. You can see it already. They're going down the middle, and they're working on angles to get the lads off the shoulders and to create goal chances. And it wasn't much different when he was with us. But to answer your question, I just think an awful lot of hard work, and it's not madness, as in kind of running here, there, and everywhere, but it's a lot of toughness.
And so obviously I don't even want to give away too much of what Tipperary are doing and what Waterford were doing, but is it like the level of detail? It's not just like run and give and go. Is there sort of like working in triangles like you might in soccer, or working in groups and stuff like that when you run up the field? Like, is there that level of detail in it?
Yeah, God, yeah. Look, it's gone to a stage where you're just I suppose getting possession and building, and not being ahead of the ball, and work, as you said yourself, like working in triangles and creating space, and being the runner or the penetrator to draw two lads in and create the overlap, and you constantly keep hammering that home, and you do your matches and your training centered around that, and you do improve at it, but high energy, high running game, and that's look, they're I'm sure they're working on other areas like puckhouse and things like that, but just from an attacking point of view, that's pretty, it's pretty clear to see what they're at.
Do you enjoy watching current hurling? Like, the Limerick games were brilliant last year, like we were saying, but it seems like a lot of other games, both teams are trying to run it through the lines and all that kind of stuff, and it's hard to know if it's quite as exciting. We don't want to sound like old fogies, but it's probably not as blood and thunder as it was.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, some games, look, it's hurling, it's changing all the time. Like Gaelic football was absolutely atrocious to watch 5 years ago, and I must say I really like watching Gaelic football at the moment. It's kicking skill levels and things like that. So, or hurling in general. Yeah, look, there needs to be, I think the sweeper came, it went. Teams, I think, kind of were able to work around that, and that seems to be, it's difficult to see teams working with that and scoring enough and things like that. But it's definitely a running game. It's a building game and things, that you can see in 2 or 3 hand passes, runner off the shoulder. But sometimes you're right, it can be difficult enough at times to watch because you have a lot of rucks, you have a lot of breakdowns, you have a lot of kind of lads can't get the ball into their hand because the tackling is so intense, and so look, there are times that but look, it'll change. Who knows what the next summer might hold. It could, you look at the likes of Ballyhale, who are, they're incredibly good at just getting the ball from A to B. It might go back to that. It might come back to, man on man, win your high ball, bring it out yourself, find, so it's constantly evolving. But I do agree with you at times. Sometimes matches can be hard with, all the players back, and maybe only 2 men inside the 45, and it's but look, the numbers, the ball, the numbers around the middle third, and the ball striking ability of players nowadays. I think there was nearly 70 scores yesterday as well in the Cork and Galway match. So it's it's hard to know. It's hard to know. It's definitely, sometimes it can be a little bit monotonous, I guess.
Yeah, and you see as well, because of the amount of numbers in the middle, and lads are trying to break the line before popping it, to obviously try and help, break the line. There's an awful lot of lads getting, like, I noticed the amount of players been taken off for like blood injuries or whatever, because they're going into tackle, they're getting smacked in the head and whatever. But that's beside the point.
Yeah.
Unless you want to make a point on it.
No, I do. Yeah, there's a lot of congestion, like, there isn't a, and in fairness, I do think we're gone to a level though as well where the best cornerbacks in the country, if a forward is getting, if the best corner forwards in the country are getting a ball 1-on-1, they're not defending them. They're too good. They're too good. They're left, right. You can take them on. They can go off the shoulder. They can go off the back foot. So, it's I suppose teams are doing it for a reason. It's the easiest way of scoring. You break that line, you're probably going to score. I do notice a lot of players are kind of scoring on their own nowadays. That's because someone's after breaking the line, the hand pass after coming through, and here's someone standing on their own and shooting. So, look, it's just the way the game is at the moment.
Are you enjoying playing, like devoting all your time to De La Salle?
I am, yeah, I am. I played poorly last year with De La Salle, and I hope to play this year coming, but have a couple of kind of long-term injuries that mightn't allow me to play, but definitely going to get involved in the coaching. I'm currently coaching our minor club team, so I'm really enjoying that. I did the under-15 team in the club last year, and it's as I said, I always wanted to, once I was finished the inter-county setup, to start giving a lot of my time back into developing the younger players in our club. So yeah, I've started off with the minors, and looking forward to it now. So we've got a lot of good young lads up there, and it's filling the void as for where I used to go and train. I go and train the younger lads in the club now, so I do enjoy it quite a bit.
So it sounds like you have the bug for it a little bit.
Look, it's early days. I like watching it. I like watching, how managers, the style of play and things like that. I do think, of course, you have the bug for it when you're involved, and you're on the sideline, and it's a close game. There's nothing better, and you seem to appreciate a little bit more when you're playing it yourself. You kind of focus on the next ball. You kind of forget, you forget what's you don't think as much. I put it that way. It's just keep going, and then the match is over. You're kind of saying, "Geez, need to get myself right for the next match." Whereas there's an awful lot more thinking involved from a coaching setup. And no, I do like it. As I said, it's early days, and look, it's something that I'll see how I get on over the next couple of years.
And a final question then, you said you're, in terms of injuries and even playing yourself this year, is it a real concern that you mightn't be able to play this year? And what sort of injuries are we talking about?
I have a knee injury. Yeah, it's nothing substantial, just a little bit of wear and tear. And, I struggled with it last year with De La Salle, but did manage to play, but again, not to the level that I wanted. So got an operation on it kind of in November this year, and look, you're reaching that age. The kind of surgeon was kind of saying, I'm not so sure about this. You don't have a huge amount of cartilage left in your knee. So it's look, I was lucky with injuries over the years. Thankfully when I was playing the game. So it's kind of just after catching up me in the last couple of years. But no, I'm happy enough. I'll see how I go. We're not back training yet, so I'll give it a couple of months to see does it miraculously improve, and if not, look, as I said, I'll spend my time coaching the younger generation in the club.
Absolutely. Well, look, best of luck with that. Hope the knee comes right, and pleasure chatting to you. Hopefully we'll chat again.
Yeah, thanks, Shane. Go on. Thanks very much.